Ramsuratkumar ki Jai. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanamastu. We have been listening to the stories of Bhagwan's glory from Shri Ganesh Anna of Ramana. He has many, many wonderful stories of Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar to tell us there was one particular story which is no story. A story doesn't exactly mean an imagined incident. It's a form of narration. This particular incident we have listened to already quite some time back. But then, as I always say, to relive an experience of a devotee is to absorb the truth of it deeper and making that experience one's own, which draws a huge grace from Bhagwan, who has promised that even a thought of his coconut shell would fetch a bout of blessings. This is a very touching incident that took place, especially for mothers. Now once again we shall see the details. Now once a beggar woman came all the way from Salem when Shri Ganesh Anna was seated with Bhagwan. The way she looked brought a very natural tenderness from Bhagwan. Bhagwan asked her, "Amma, what can this beggar do for you?" She said with folded hands, "Swami, my son Govindasamy should get married soon." He said, "Govindasamy, how many sons you have?" "I have 6 sons, Swami. The 5 of them are already settled in life and they are doing well. This 5th one is a watchman in a company. He is already 36, Swami. His marriage is getting delayed. I want him to get married, settle down happily, like his other brothers." Then Bhagwan, with such love, such compassion, asked him, "Amma, Are you living with your sons? No, Swami. They don't want me to live with them. They asked me to get out. Oh, all the 5 married sons, they chased you out? What about the 6th one? This Govindaswamy is not married yet. No, Swami, he also doesn't want me around. It doesn't matter, Swami. As long as they get settled well, happily, that will do for me. Now I have learned to beg. And whatever begging I do, I get enough to eat. And I stay in a mandap. So there is no problem for me. Then Bhagwan just looked at her with such compassion. Amma, do you worship any god? Oh, Swami, I do not know God. But surely, in the mandap you are staying, there must be pillars, and maybe one of those pillars has an image of God. Or maybe, Swami, I do not know, but I can find out and I can do it. What do you want me to do, Swami? Then Bhagwan said, you have to light a lamp, a mud lamp with oil and a wick. And every day you have to said, you have to light a lamp, a mud lamp with oil and a wick. And every day you have to light this lamp before the image of God and pray. For 36 days you have to do. Oh, Swami, I will do it, Swami. I will do it readily. I want this son to get married. Then Bhagwan said, what will you do? You are already begging in the streets. No, Swami, I can beg a little more and get enough money to buy some oil every day and a wick. I can do it, Swami. In fact, I want to do it. I want to start it today itself. I want to get back to Salem and start it immediately. Swami smiled and said, okay, Amma, you have money to go back to Salem? She said, I have some, but I need to beg more. I don't have enough. Then Swami put his hand deep into his pocket and pulled out some notes. When she denied stoutly and said, no, Swami, I will not take money from you. I will beg. I will get enough, Swami. There is nothing to worry. I will go, Swami. I will start it immediately. Please bless me to get married soon, Swami. Then Bhagwan blessed both of them nicely, the lady and her son. And after she left, there were tears in Bhagwan's eyes and a smile. Ganesha, did you see Ganesha? Just see, Ganesha, this is mother's love. Those people don't want her to live with them. They've driven her out and she's begging in the streets. But she still wants their happiness only. Just see, this is the pure love of a mother. What sacrifice? And it's no sacrifice to the mother. She's doing it very naturally. She doesn't even think that she's making a sacrifice. This is pure love. Love that seeks others' happiness without any expectations for oneself. This touching story happened thanks to Shri Ganesh Anna, he has recorded it. Otherwise, we wouldn't know that there are such people and how Bhagwan looked upon them, how Bhagwan helped them. This could also mean Bhagwan had said, whatever this beggar does, it's not meant for one individual. It is meant for all the individuals in similar position. So maybe some of the mothers can try this. Light a lamp before the image of any god, their favorite god, or before the picture of Bhagwan. And depending upon the age of the sun, so many days, they can light the lamp and pray, and perhaps chant the name Yogi Ramsuratkumar, praying. And then the marriage would be settled. The devotees can try, because of Bhagwan's word, that whatever he does for one individual in one position, it would go to all the individuals in similar position. This beggar cannot do anything small. Now, Shri Ganesh Anna says, he goes on to other narrations. There was a lady, another lady, a villager, who came to Bhagwan with a tiffin box. And she came and complained to Bhagwan. When Bhagwan was seated in the temples, Arunachala Temple, this lady came and she complained her husband was beating her so badly, she was unable to bear anymore. And then Bhagwan blessed her, saying that your husband will not beat you, Amma. My father's grace. And then she said, Swami, I brought something for you, Swami. Will you take it? Bhagwan was all smiles immediately. He showed his coconut shell, and that lady opened her tiffin box. Anuradha Amma, who was with Ganeshan, she said, there's such a foul smell. But Bhagwan was all love and compassion. He took some of it in his coconut shell and drank it with relish. And what was more, see him drinking it with relish, she offered even more. And again he had it. He had his fill second time. And when both of them, Ganesh Anna and Anuradha Amma, they're looking upon him in all wonder, how is this possible? This foul-smelling stuff from this woman, and he is drinking with such relish. And then that lady turned to Anuradha Amma, Amma, will you take some? And I believe Anuradha Amma almost fainted. So, this is our Bhagwan. This is one glimpse of Bhagwan. Let's get another glimpse. There was one man who was coming to Sannidhi Street House, and whenever Ganesh Anna was seated there, he noticed something. When this man came, Bhagwan would get up, would take the trouble to get up, go inside and bring out an apple in his hand. This he was doing quite a few times. Every time when this man presented himself, Bhagwan would take the trouble to go inside and bring an apple or some fruit. After he left, actually Ganesh Anna got very curious to know who he was. And then Bhagwan said, this man was running a tea stall near Pay Gopuram, And he gave tea to Swami. Shri Ganesh Anna assumed that this man was probably giving tea every time Swami went that side. But Swami said, no, Ganesha, in 3 years he would have given tea to this beggar 3 times. But how can this beggar forget him, Ganesha? See, Ganesha, he gave tea 3 times. How can this beggar forget him? Such is the gratitude that Bhagwan showed to people. And a senior devotee, we talked about him day before yesterday, Balram Reddy. There were many people around. All this happened, I think, between 1960 and 62. In 62, Bhagwan moved to Arunachala Mandir and to other some haunts of Bhagwan. But from 59 to 62, he was roaming around Ramanashram. And Balram Reddy, Bhagwan insisted on going and seeing Balram Reddy. Shri Ganesh Anna knew that Shri Balram Reddy did not like Bhagwan, like Yogi Ramsuratkumar. He did not treat him with respect. But Bhagwan insisted. He said, Ganesha, take this beggar Ganesha to see this Balram Reddy. This beggar would like to see him. And Ganesh Anna took him there. And just as Ganesh Anna expected, Balram Reddy was indifferent to Swami. He did not look upon him as Swami. But all the same, Bhagwan looked at him with folded hands, thanked him nicely and came out. And Bhagwan would have done so much work upon Balram Reddy during the time, though of course for all appearances it looked as though Bhagwan was standing there with folded hands to express his gratitude, to see him after so long, remembering what he did. What did he do? He gave him 1 rupee at that time. He gave him one day 1 rupee. When Bhagwan had no money, when he needed it badly. So that is Bhagwan. Went all the way, he pestered Ganesh Anna to take him to Balram Reddy, to thank him after several years for that 1 rupee he gave one day when Swami needed it badly. All this we have to learn. Not only learn from Bhagwan, but remember to practice all the time this attitude of gratitude. And then another horror story, really very bad. When I read, I just could not help crying. There was one Srilankan, Krishna Jeevarajani. Once again, Bhagwan kept on insisting, Ganesha, take this beggar to see this Jeevarajani Krishna. Ganesha, this beggar wants to see him. Even 1 minute will do. Anyone would think that this Krishna Jeevarajani was a great master, a great soul, that 1 minute in his presence would do for Yogi Ramsuratkumar. When Ganesh Anna went there, in order to tell this Jeevarajani that Yogi Ramsuratkumar wanted to see him, that man started to abuse Yogi Ramsuratkumar. He spoke very badly. So much so, when Ganesh Anna came and reported to Bhagwan, he did not give him the full story. He was very hesitant. Some of the words that Krishna Jeevarajani used. But Bhagwan insisted, Ganesha, tell me Ganesha, whatever he said, don't bother, you tell me, you tell this beggar. No matter how abusive he was, this beggar would like to know what he said. So there was no other go. Ganesh Anna repeated whatever that man said. Bhagwan became silent and then said, Ganesha, still this beggar wants to see him, Ganesha. Let us go, Ganesha. It doesn't matter if he abuses this beggar. Ganesha, take me, Ganesha. So Ganesh Anna took him there. And of course, as soon as this man saw Bhagwan entering his place, he started to abuse. He used some very bad words and drove him out. But Bhagwan, he thanked this Jeevarajani profusely. He said, enough, you allowed this beggar to have your darshan for 1 minute. This beggar is very grateful to you. And then he came out. So Ganesh Anna thought that man must have done something very, very important to Bhagwan. And then asked him, Swami, what did he do that you had to go and stand before him with folded hands even for 1 minute, begging for that 1 minute? What did he do? Oh Ganesha, when this beggar was in Ramanashram, once this beggar wanted to go back to Kashi. But this beggar didn't have money at all. And this one, Jeevarajani, was giving money to many people in the ashram. So this beggar gathered enough courage and to go ask him for some money, the train fare to go to Kashi. And he gave me, Jeevarajani gave this beggar the train fare, Ganesha. This beggar, of course, after he reached Kashi, he money ordered the money that he took from this man, but all the same, Ganesha, he helped this beggar. When this beggar needed money very badly, he gave. This beggar is very grateful to him. It was enough that this beggar was able to see him even for a minute. That man allowed this beggar to stay even for 1 minute. This is another glimpse of Bhagwan. We should never forget these things because it shows how humble we should become, how grateful we should be for all the help that we receive from nature, from people, from great souls, despite their attitude towards us. One cannot help crying when one reads all these passages. Thanks to Ganesh Anna that he has recorded all this. They're all great teachings. They lived. People like Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar, they lived their teachings. They taught only what they lived. And Ganesh Anna says that when he entered Ramanashram for the first time, he was 23. Of course, he grew up there in Ramanashram with his father there. But after he did his MA English literature. And after that, when he returned to Ramanashram to start his life in the ashram, he was 23. And Shri Sundaresa Iyer took special care of him. He used to spend much time with him, Pandit Sundaresa Iyer. I believe they used to sit together leaning on the wall and would look at the mountain for hours without talking to each other. On one such day, a disheveled man, who very much looked like a madman, was seated a little distance away. Pandit Sundaresa Iyer, Ganesha, Ganesan, you go. You see that man there? He is. You go and prostrate before him and come. Ganesan was hesitating. This man, he is so disheveled, he looks like a beggar, he looks like a madman. Why does Panditji want me to go and prostrate before him? But then he knew better, that Panditji would not say such a thing without knowing something. So he went and prostrated and came back, but still he could not help thinking that it was a madman. Pandit Sundaresa Iyer, as though he read the mind of Ganesh Anna, he said, Ganesha, do not think that he is a madman. He is a yogi. He is a Siddha Purusha. He is very hungry, Ganesan. Will you go find some food for him? And Ganesh Anna went. In those days, I believe, there wasn't much food available in the kitchen. But all the same, Ganesh Anna went to the kitchen, looked for some food and managed to get some and brought it to Bhagwan. Much later, years kitchen by Shri Ganesh Anna. We are very grateful to him for this record. And this Bhagwan is here right in front of us. With his hand raised in benediction. There is one particular incident with which I conclude. I had already talked about it, that Ganesh Anna had a problem when he was the president of the ashram. He had many, many problems, but one of the most serious of all was that he had signed as a guarantor for a local pressman, hoping that Ramanashram books could be published in Tiruvannamalai itself. But that man defaulted, with the result the whole burden of nearly 7 lakhs fell upon the head of Shri Ganesh Anna, and he could do nothing about it. And what was more, the other people started to blame him. How could you do this? How can you give guarantee to somebody on such a huge amount? And the bank was also after him. So you will know the story because I've already described it. And he was in great distress. He even thought of committing suicide because they might even arrest him. And the ashram's name is there. It was his responsibility. So Anuradha Amma took him there immediately to see Swami, and she voiced out. She said, Swami, he is in great distress because of this problem. He says he wants to commit suicide. Then Bhagwan said something that we all have to remember. He said, Ganesha, our Guru, Ramana Bhagwan, what did he teach, Ganesha? Is this what he taught us all? How can you think of giving up this body? What did the body do? The body has served you so well all these years. Your mind is reacting. You have to destroy the mind, not the body, Ganesha. Raman Bhagwan has taught us. Manonasham, the destruction of the mind, will lead to your oneness with God. It is the mind that should be killed, not the body, Ganesha. You have to practice that. And of course, after that, the rest is history. Bhagwan took a cigarette paper and wrote Om, an empty cigarette box, and wrote Om on it and gave it to Ganesh Anna and said to him, this devotee Janardhanan is there in Bangalore, he is running a printing press. You tell him this beggar wanted him to buy your machine, the printing machine, the small machine. Janardhan was already running a big printing press. He had very expensive, big machines. The small machine was of no use to him. His business partners, relatives, everybody was opposing this idea, but Janardhanan would not hear of it. He said, my master, my guru is saying, you buy it, and no matter what, I will do it. And he did, and saved Shri Ganesh Anna from an intricate problem. So after that, Bhagwan sent him to Kashi for 1 year, and after he returned, Bhagwan asked him to go to Ananda Ashram to be with Mataji Krishnabai for 2 months. And when he came, Bhagwan encouraged him to go to Ananda Ramana and stay there. In fact, Bhagwan himself took him. He came and spent some days with Ganesh Anna at Ramanashram, and every time he would take him to Ananda Ramana, sit with him. Ganesh Anna says, Bhagwan came to Ananda Ramana more than 60 times. Bhagwan had taken me also to Ananda Ramana. We had spent quite some time there. So Ganesh Anna says, the beginning of his life, his service in Ramanashram started with Bhagwan, and then his retirement from the responsibility also, the conclusion happened with Yogi Ramsuratkumar's support. So with this, Shri Ganesh Anna has provided us with a great narration of such wonderful glimpses of Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Now we shall hurry and submit our today's prayers to Bhagwan. Bhagwan, what to say of your compassion?